We're in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress 2019. I'm here with Mike Capuano from Pluribus Network. Mike, good to see you.
Great to be here, Ray. Thanks.
So, Mobile World Congress again, tens of thousands of people here, and a lot of halls to cover. What are you seeing at the show? What are the trends that you've been picking out during this week?
Well, one of the big trends, in addition to 5G, is edge compute. So, one of the folks on my team likes to say the action is at the edge, and definitely this show is manifesting that. What edge compute is there's typically today a very centralized data center and cloud architecture, and there's a rise of applications that just can't be satisfied by that architecture, whether it's because they need low latency, they need to do bandwidth thinning at the edge to reduce bandwidth costs, they need to have autonomy in case the connection to the cloud is cut, they still need to be able to interact and do their job, and then data privacy. Those are kind of the four areas. An example is virtual reality. If I want to wear a pair of thin glasses instead of one of those big honking computers on my head,
right,
and the compute's going to happen in the cloud, the round trip, including the compute, needs to be 20 milliseconds or less, or I get nauseous, right? And so you've got to end up moving compute functions out to the edge of the network. And as a matter of fact, we're talking a lot about that, but we're using the term distributed cloud because we think there's going to be a lot of edges and you're going to have a cloud consumption model.
Right. And then during the show here at MWC, you've actually announced a new product that meets these needs. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. We've taken our adaptive cloud fabric. So we make a white box operating system for open networking solutions. The OS itself is called the NetVisor 1 OS, and then on top of that we have something called the Adaptive Cloud Fabric.
Okay.
And we've seen a lot of success with that where it stretches across multiple data centers, and because it uses a controllerless SDN fabric model, it's really good with geo-distributed sites.
Okay.
Right? So we're seeing a lot of wins in that area today, and what we've done is we've made some enhancements to kind of stretch it out further so it can help solve the complexity of the edge compute problem or the distributed cloud compute problem.
Right. So we're kind of still at the early stage in many ways of edge computing in the communication service provider environment. How do you see it playing out this year, and how do you see Pluribus playing a role in that evolution?
Sure. I mean, I think at the beginning of this we mentioned two things, 5G and edge computer distributed cloud. So we see those two markets kind of evolving in parallel.
Okay.
We don't think that 5G is actually in the critical path for distributed cloud. We think it'll evolve on its own. It'll use access technologies like 4G and Wi-Fi and actually wired access. We do think when those two come together, it will accelerate. If you look at where the edge is today, you've got your centralized data center, and then you've got sort of either regional data centers or co-location facilities. That's kind of where the edge is today. The next stop is clearly the central office or the head end for cable operators.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of folks talking about a stop after that, which is base station aggregation locations. And if you think about that, it's already, it's hard enough today to manage a centralized data center, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, I increase that by a factor of 10x. The complexity is really difficult. I've got all these compute locations in lights out facilities, and we really want to help solve the networking problem, right? And so we're bringing, we're extending our adaptive cloud fabric out to basically take that 10x increase in complexity and counterbalance it with a simplified networking model to reduce it by 10x.
So you're focusing there on the networking problem, but it's a bigger challenge than that, isn't it? I mean, this is a big industry.
It is. As a matter of fact, part of this announcement we made today is also about bringing on some partners to help solve other pieces of the distributed cloud puzzle. So for example, in our press release, we included Mobile Edge X. They're an edge orchestration company that basically determines where workloads need to be placed, turns them up, turns them down when they're done, and they provide actually a set of APIs across multiple service providers to simplify the life of the developer. We also had Red Hat join the announcement. We're working with them on integrating with their OpenStack and OpenShift platforms for VM virtualization and container virtualization. And we also have our existing partners, Dell EMC, EdgeCore, D-Link, and then one other new partner we announced was Vapor.io.
Okay.
And this is a company that actually makes co-location facilities at base station aggregation points. In addition to that, we've recently announced that we are founding members both of the LF Edge, that's a new organization under the Linux Foundation, as well as the Kinetic Edge Alliance, which is related to Vapor.io. So we kind of really believe that it's going to take sort of a community of open players to kind of lean into this and provide a full solution that is completely open, so service providers can take the pieces they want and build best-of-breed solutions, and that's why we also included that in the announcement.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense because, there's no doubt about it. Everybody's talking about Edge. All the operators know that it needs to play in their strategies in the future. So sounds like you're well placed to be talking to them and helping them to do this. Mike, great to see you.
Thanks, Ray.
And have a great year.
Thanks.